Buongiorno, St. Francis, and buongiorno, people of God. It is Tuesday, the 16th day of April 2024. It is Tuesday of the third week of Easter. It is the 17th day of the Easter season. I'm trying to get this all correct in my head. I am standing before the Chiesa Nuova, the church that is built over what is by traditions holding the house and the family home of St. Francis of Assisi. This church that was built over the site of the family home. Around the corner of it is the store that St. Francis, Francis's father Pietro had that sold the cloth that Francis gave away, too much to his father's anger, to the poor, to those who were in need. The Chiesa Nuova over here. I was originally going to do this in front of the Basilica of San Francesco, St. Francis's Basilica, but the wind is too much today. It's a very windy day today in Assisi, and the feedback was just terrible. So I had to come in between two buildings back over here to the Chiesa Nuova. Covering the birthplace of, or not his birthplace, but his home. His birthplace is a little bit down the street. He was born in a stable. Again, Christ-like images and Christ-like parallels between the life of Francis and Jesus, which kind of got the Order of Friars Minor into a little bit of trouble because we kept making Francis a little more popular than was Jesus, and so we had to kind of curl back on that, on those kinds of parallels, those kinds of impressions. But this beautiful church here. So today, on this Tuesday of the third week of Easter, Acts of the Apostles, Stephen all of a sudden loses his temper. So yesterday Stephen was a little bit temperate and tranquil before the Sanhedrin, and the wind is blowing up my capuche, there we go. But today he kind of loses his temper with them and basically says that their stubbornness and their obstinacy is going to keep them from being able to experience the wonder and beauty of what resurrection is, and the fact of what Christ has come to bring in his message. And they will lose out because they are being stubborn and resistant to what it is that the gospel is trying to proclaim to them. And so the Sanhedrin finally has had enough with Stephen and everything about him, and so basically they rush him, throw him out of the meeting hall and into a field, and it is there that they begin to stone him. And so Stephen's martyrdom is recounted today, and again through it all, Stephen basically is tranquil. He sees the vision of Christ being able to welcome him into heaven, and then before he dies, or before he falls asleep, as it says in Acts, he basically says, he asks what Jesus does in John's Gospel is for God to forgive these men for what it is they are doing. The interesting side notes within this is that a certain young man named Saul is the one at whose feet the Sanhedrin throw their cloaks as they go to stone Stephen. And it is also Saul who is kind of complicit in Stephen's martyrdom. Again, this Saul will eventually become Paul, and then be able to again continue what Stephen began. So it's again the way in which God takes what seems to be an end, a definitive end, a failing, a tragedy, and whatever it is, and again turns it around for the good of the gospel and for the good of spreading the reign of God. In today's gospel today, John's Gospel, we have Jesus still talking about the bread of life, as he does throughout this whole chapter of John 6, which is where we are, the 6th chapter of John's Gospel. And the people want more of that bread that Jesus can make. And Jesus basically says that bread is going to make you hungry, but I have bread that is never going to make you hungry again. You're just going to be hungry for the bread after you eat it. So, and they say, give us this bread. And Jesus says, I am the bread of life. And it's like, I've come to feed, I've come to help, I've come to nourish, again, people who are in desperate need of trying to understand themselves, of trying to know what is their purpose in life, of where they are supposed to be in life, what is it that God wants from them, and what is it that God wants to do with them. Again, it's an interesting kind of a parallel that Jesus does, talking about himself as the bread of life, to what he says to Martha, at the sister of Lazarus, when Martha confronts Jesus along that road, when Jesus is finally coming to see what has happened to Lazarus, who has now died. And Jesus basically tells Mary that if you don't believe I am the resurrection and the life, nothing can happen to make Lazarus well again and to bring Lazarus back to you. Again, a God who not only works in spiritual and theological ways, but a God who also works, to feed us always. A God who goes to great lengths, to do what it is that we need done for us, so that we can be able to appreciate, how glorious it is to be in a relationship with God, to be a part of the family of God, to be part of the life of God. This is what Jesus comes to do. This is what resurrection affirms again and again. And so for 50 days, we are asked to believe and to affirm in our own lives, confirm in our own lives, the fact, of God's great love for us, of God's tremendous and mighty love that nourishes, that feeds, that sustains, that guides, that gives us that hope and peace that nothing else can give. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.